Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes and my A Spoon Coon, Damon Williams at the ready. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, good. Home, been home for a little while now. It feels good.
So, last time I talked to you, you were in your hotel room in New York doing the Sherry show, trying to do some comedy gigs, but the weather wasn't cooperating. How did all
Right.
of New York end up?
Well, it was cool. So Monday night, I did do a club with my man Smokey Suarez. It's a black-owned establishment called Comedy in Harlem. People, it's right there next door to the Lighthouse in Harlem. So you know where that is. It's a fish place, whatever. That was cool. Tuesday we canceled because of the flurries. Wednesday I went to Hynella, New Jersey, which is basically a suburb of Philadelphia.
Oh,
So I
wow.
drove there from New York. It was a good, nice little drive, and did two raves Wednesdays at Wilson's. Turns out the guy that owns Wilson's, Mr. Wilson, is a Chicago guy,
Is
but
that right?
he met his wife, and she's from New Jersey. She's actually she might be Nigerian, and he opened that establishment for her so that he could have a place for them there because he owns the property of several companies. I mean, establishments here in Chicago. His family owns the building where Buddy Guys is located.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. That's a good
yeah,
brand.
yeah, exactly. That one, Geno's and Blue Island and a couple other places. And he has Wilson's on Wednesdays. Really nice. It's live music, and that's the name of Wilson's Live Music. So that was a great show. Shouts out to Ture. Came home, did riddles, and now I'm home.
Awesome. Well, you've been a busy man. I bet your wife's glad to have you home.
Yeah, I think she's glad. She appears to be glad. She might have a whole little routine when I'm gone that I
That's
interrupt.
probably true.
You
That's
know how
probably
that
true.
goes too. Disturbing her sleep and walking around all at night and making all kind of noise. But yeah, she's always happy to have me home, and so are the pups.
And the pups. And how are the pups?
The pups are good. Got a chance to go out because it was a balmy 45 and sunny today here in Chicago. Uh,
Ooh.
with a slight breeze. But once it's under 40, the dogs don't even like going out there. So when it gets above 40 and warmer, like yesterday, we try to get them out and get them some exercise. So it's pretty cool.
Let me ask you this. Do you dress the dogs for the weather?
I don't, but she does. And see, and the thing of it is, she has a condition where she can't be exposed to temperature extremes. And so she can't
Oh.
walk them most of the winter. It's on me. Yeah, but she's like, they can't go out there. So they have hoods on. They already got pink and green tails, and you know, I'm telling you, all my cred is gone in the south suburbs right now.
Right, right.
She tried to put the little boots on her, and I don't think they even wanted the boots. But yeah,
So that's really interesting because when we had a miniature schnauzer, and when I was growing up, and we because he was just a little fella,
right,
and we got him boots, and he hated those boots. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
he could barely get out the back door for he was scripping and grabbing and trying, just
exactly.
it's like take this crap off of me.
Yeah, so one of our dogs is Dainty, and that's Piper. But Margot is the first one we had that I used to run around and play with in the park and fetch and teach her like raw skills. So she the killer. Yeah, Margot is the killer, the killer Shih Tzu.
Margot, the killer Shih
Margot, the killer Shih Tzu. Yeah,
Tzu.
Margot's a tomboy.
Watch yourself now.
Yeah, I think you can still get away with that one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I was just wondering, can you? But yeah, if you say it's fair, that's fair. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I'll go with you. All right, Damon. So let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter in which we write stories that are apropos that we think will attract the African American community because it involves them. And most of the stories are geared towards them. As far as what we have in the What You Need to Know newsletter, I got to tell you, it sometimes it's a little difficult to find those stories that you want to do. And I will tell you tomorrow, we'll be talking about what happened in Mexico, just to give in case you didn't know, um,
yeah.
just a horrible situation. But as far as what we have in the newsletter. we have politics, and we have health and wellness, and of course we have our social justice, as well as the health and wellness, which I should say is April at Russell, and that's on Thursdays. Social justice with Coy Malone, who works more hours than the law allows on all of our other jobs, including on the newsletter. And then, of course, the LGBTQ plus IA plus stories that Quinn Townsend Riley writes. And so it gives you a pretty good run and a pretty good idea of things that we are covering in the What You Need to Know newsletter. So I will tell you that this past week we talked about the Donald Trump appearance at the CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, and Donald Trump's behavior. And a lot of people called it dark. A lot of people called it, he's trying to get people's attention. And when a lot of people, with the exception of those who were there at the CPAC convention, are not feeling him, and a lot of Republicans that they thought would be there chose not to, including Ron DeSantis, who a lot of people are gung-ho on him. I'm not a Republican, so I can't say that I am, and certainly the things that he's done. And when people say, I really like Ron DeSantis, I just look at the television or the radio and say, do you know what he's done? What makes you so proud of him? And what makes him so attractive? Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, Donald Trump was there, and he told the people, I am your retribution. I am your warrior. In other words, hire me, make me your candidate, and we will get retribution on those who took this away from us. Nobody took anything away. You lost.
And those terms, he tried to candy coat. He wants to say, I am your savior and your Messiah.
Right.
But that would be going too far. Yep. But yeah, he's positioning himself to be more important than he is. And he's losing his base. It's dwindling. So at this point, he shouldn't even run, because it's going to be an ugly defeat. I don't care who the Democrats post against him. He might not make it out of a Republican primary.
Well, that's the question. And so, they're trying to get other people to finally jump into the race. It's only two of them. It's Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. Others, when Nikki Haley was at the convention, she got booed and thrown off the red carpet by a lot of Trump supporters. And Mike Pompeo, who is the former Secretary of State in the Trump administration, a former congressman, and a number of other things in his past, he spoke to them, and he didn't get a lot of traction, not a lot of love from people. He spoke on Friday. Nikki Haley spoke Saturday, and Donald Trump spoke Saturday. But during his speech on Saturday, he said, we're going to finish what we started. We're going to complete the mission. We're going to see this battle through to the ultimate victory. Well, as far as we can tell, you're done, pal. With the exception of you and your son, little Don. Most people think that you've seen this, and it wasn't a victory. You lost, and thanks to you, after you won the White House, you lost in 2017, 2018, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2024 is not looking very promising. But you keep at it, and it'll be another loss from all looks of things by the Democrats. And as you said, it doesn't matter who goes up against Joe Biden, and if Mr. Biden does keep his good health and runs again, then good on him. And if he continues on his path, I mean, he's doing everything that he possibly can within his power, as far as the Black women who are the base of the Democratic Party. He was in Alabama in Selma for the Bloody Sunday event. He is still trying, fighting, putting his people up to fight in the U.S. Supreme Court against the fight of the 6 Republican-led states who don't want the president to sign an executive order alleviating some of the student loan debt. And he's fighting against the states that are trying to create abortion throughout the country. He's fighting all of these things that really appeal to his base. And so or he's fighting for them, I should say, that appeals
Right.
to his base. And so it's going to be interesting. Okay, maybe for me. Let me ask you this: is it interesting to you,
The Biden scenario?
the Biden versus the possibility of Trump scenario?
Well, actually, I would prefer it be Trump because I think then we have a chance for Biden to win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the quacks and the conservatives that really love the rhetoric that DeSantis is spewing and the way he's running Florida. I would hate for America to be run by a person with that
Yeah.
mentality, you know. And Florida, it's a lot of dysfunction in Florida's citizenry, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so that explains why he's the governor. It's not because he's done such a great job or people love him as a person. It's just a lot of goofy people in Florida. As far as
Right.
Biden's concerned, I don't think we have a groomed alternative, and his health is a concern, his health and his age. So I think for even if he's very proficient at his job, we still need to have an alternative. And I know that Kamala is the heir to the throne, so to speak, in her position, but she either needs to be more vocal and more visible in her demonstration of her abilities so that
Mm-hmm.
we can have more confidence. They need to allocate more things for her to do. But if Biden is consistently saying he's going to still stick around, then that doesn't push her agenda any further. So it's going to be interesting. We have some time. We might have a year or so to see what develops because Trump might uh, implode by then.
Mm-hmm.
DeSantis may have a scandal by then. God forbid, Joe could have some type of setback physically. If he goes bike riding again, he could.
or walks up the steps. It's
Hey,
they're taking him on with the steps the way they did with Gerald Ford back in the day, and
yeah,
calling in his flexibility and ability to get up and down the steps, which is unfortunate. But I agree with you. I want to see, and I think they're trying to do it. There may be others who disagree with me on this, but I think they're trying to put her in a position of power and strength. And like she's traveled to other parts of the world and spoken out, and as well as the fight against the abortion rules that they are coming up with across the country. I really hope that she is given the room and the breadth to make her move, to make her statement, and to come back to being the strong woman that she was when she ran for office.
yeah. She needs an agenda or some type of platform to promote what her ideals are and what her mission is in that role. Now we know the vice president under most circumstances disappears for 4 years. I mean, we didn't see a whole lot of Joe
Right,
when Obama was the president. We didn't see much of
right.
Al Gore, but at least Al Gore had an initiative, which was the environment. He had something that
Mm-hmm.
he stood for, and it would have got him elected if they didn't have the hanging chads in Florida.
Right.
Um,
Who can
and he
forget the
he
hanging
bowed out
chads?
gracefully. But yeah, so she needs a platform to stand on, or she needs to concede the fact that maybe she's not ready for presidency, and they should have someone else at the ready. So I don't know what we're going to do in 2024, but really putting all our eggs in a basket of a guy that's in his 80s, is I mean, he could break a hip, if he don't
Yeah.
have a walk-in tub at the house, there he goes. It's like I see the commercials, if you don't have that walk-in tub or the ready alert around his neck,
Right.
anything
Help,
could
I'm
happen,
falling.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pray every night. I absolutely do. One of the other stories that's in the newsletter, which I thought was very interesting, is that, and I hope Aprilette will go with this a little bit further. The state of Georgia, the House is seeking more improvements to mental health. They're pushing forward a plan aimed at doing more to recruit mental health care workers and finding ways to help people who bounce between hospitals, jails, and homelessness.
Mm.
They passed House Bill 520, sending it to the Senate for more debate. And they say the measure builds on a big mental health care push spearheaded in 2022 by the late Republican House Speaker David Ralston. And they say that finding solutions is a multi-year process. I hope that Georgia is not the only state that is doing this. It is so critical that we get everyone on the same page in terms of not having people bounce, as they say, from hospital to jails to homelessness, or being home challenged, being shelter challenged, as a lot of people say, and don't call it homelessness. I haven't quite grasped that concept yet, but however people describe it. But I do like the idea of something like this. Do you think that it could pass, and that this could be something in the state of Illinois that has a very progressive governor, lieutenant governor, and as well as the majority of the House and Senate to pass something like this?
Yeah, I think our leadership has been displayed compassion
Mm-hmm.
to an extent from the state level, anyway, under Pritzker's his administration. Also, we have a mayoral runoff that's coming up next month, and that could also help with this. And we have a very progressive mayoral candidate, and this is so crucial to anybody from Chicago and in the voting Chicago districts. Please, please, please look at Paul Vallis's record and do not fall for the hype and the commercial. The man has demonstrated himself to be basically a Republican. He's basically a right wing guy, and a Blue Lives Over Black Lives Matter advocate.
Mm-hmm.
And he's running on the law and order and crime, but he has a lot of baggage. You know, I've been informed by my son. And on the other hand, the alternative, Brandon Johnson, has, fought and been a community organizer and worked his way up and is working with the people and just got a huge endorsement from the Cook County Board President, my girl, Tony Preckwinkle. So hopefully if anybody in Chicagoland is listening to this, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just telling you who not to vote for, and that's Paul Vallis.
There's a lot of controversy about this because, if I'm not mistaken, it was a race in which you did not have to declare your party. Is that right?
Not only that, the fact that he came out when Obama was elected, he said, "I now identify more as a Republican,"
right?
Which is fine. Not only that, he's advocating for police officers who foot chases and fire their weapons at people. And turns out his son was guilty of such as a police officer in San Antonio and actually killed a guy. And Vallis, of course, came to his son's aid, which that's natural to do, but that's still not the right thing. So it's a lot going on. We as a people don't need a guy in office who is siding with the Fraternal Order of Police, which is really run by an extremist. And they have Proud Boys within their ranks. So it's a serious matter here in Chicago. As far as Georgia, I wish them the best. We do have to take care of our people who are shelter challenged or structurally disenfranchised or outside people. Since we don't want to say homeless, but it's so many. We can come up with all the terms. These are people who need to be housed, and that's a big thing. And I hope
the treatment from the state, and
that was the other thing. Brandon Johnson, his agenda. He says he'll start hiring and dispatching mental health professionals to some of these incidents, as opposed to sending the police when it's a person having a situation or a breakdown, versus sending out the cops to cuff and kill. So
yeah.
Brandon
Johnson is creating a lot of looks, if you will, from around the country, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I think you said the date April 5th is the day of the runoff.
I'm not certain of the Chicago. I know out in the suburbs it may be a little later in the date, but April 5th sounds about right. And if you said it, I believe it. Well, I got bounced off the rolls in the city. I told you.
Right.
Yeah, I went early voting to show my ID. Now I'm a suburban voter, and I don't appreciate it.
Well, I'm not sure. It normally is a Tuesday, and the 4th of April is a Tuesday. So, but definitely
that sounds more like it too.
And if you're not registered to vote, please, 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 in the city of Chicago, register and let's get busy on making some changes. The last thing I do want to talk about is about Alonzo Harmon. He is a Black man who is an HVAC, a heating and ventilation air conditioning technician, who captured a video of himself while working outside a garage in Golden Valley, Minnesota. He is giving the play-by-play, saying she is on the phone with 911 right now. in regards to a woman who identified herself as Elizabeth, comes inside the garage while talking on her cell phone. He says I'm rude and he just threatened me right now. What threat did I make towards you, ma'am? And so she said, oh, please, please, please. I'm so scared right now, which sounds a lot like the woman who called the police in New York City in Central Park on the bird watching guy. Remember, she was being threatened and all of that. The Golden Valley Police Department came showed that responders, the police officers responded and left without making any action or taking any action against the HVAC, the black HVAC guy. And he said, once I actually started to try to do my job, she was over my back, basically continuously asking me how I got the job. Do I actually know what I'm doing in the home and stuff like that. Basically, she didn't believe I worked for the company. This is something that technicians, that delivery people, you name it, get every day. And unfortunately, by people who don't look like us.
Yeah, and there's even been a case of a customer calling in saying, "Don't send a black person to my house,"
Right.
and the superior person diverted that guy and sent somebody else that way. And it's just unfortunate, but you got a job to do, so you're torn because you could say, "Okay, lady, I'll disconnect your carbon monoxide detector,
and we can just leave
and
it
block all your vents, and you'll never make another complaint.
And you won't be able to call anybody." Right.
Exactly. But you want to do the right thing, and it's typically when a black man especially has gone through the steps to learn a skill or trade, even no matter what his background was, he has made a conscious decision to be a great citizen, and you are hampering this man from advancing in his life and his career based on your own preconceived fears. And it's ridiculous that we have to face that. As a black man, you walk around all the time, and I try not to let it take over my psyche.
We're going to take this into the next segment because we do have to move on to what's really going on, but we'll continue this into the segment. Okay. Oh, look who's there. Okay.
The next segment.
I know you are the next segment.
I am the next segment.
Ned, you know the stories as well as anybody, and Damon and I were just talking about this. So we're going to talk about this in trending. Right now, I want to ask you what's going on and a fun, lighthearted question. Recently, we had a National Cereal Day. So the question is not what's your favorite cereal, because that would be too easy. What's your favorite breakfast? You can lay it out as much as you want. You can lay out all of the items, what it is, your favorite, who makes it for you, or do you make it yourself? Where do you go to get your favorite breakfast? Because I have a couple of places in my head in Chicago, and where can you get this? So think about this, ladies and gentlemen that are watching and listening. What is your favorite breakfast? Do you make it? How do you do it? Or if it's not, where do you get your favorite breakfast? Could it be me, like, on the cheap and on the run, going to IHOP and getting the migas, which is like a Mexican omelet with the cheese and the shredded shells and stuff like that, and some jalapenos and salsa and stuff, and it's
I'm right there with you, Sybil. I am an IHOP omelet guy. My son loves it too, so we just split it in half. So I just go there and we get the like the chicken fajita omelet. But if I am real serious about breakfast, it's ackee and saltfish. Ackee and saltfish with some dumpling and my aunt.
Oh, you're going home, huh?
Yeah. We going home, and that right there, it's hard to find someone to make. I can't make it right. I've tried, and it is the saltfish and it was cooking all. No, I like it ready to go. And my aunt in Miami, it makes a killer one. She boy, when I go down to see her, I'm like, I can saltfish, please. I'm gonna need it. It's the one that disowned me for like 2 years.
Right, that's what I was
that one. But I get saltfish all day. I don't care how mad she is. If I show up, I need that.
That's great. That is so cool. Damon, there's a restaurant in Chicago that I have not been there yet, but you turned me on to it, and just the pictures of the food. And is It's batters
Yeah,
and
batters and
berries.
berries.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've
they
heard of
doing
that.
it.
Yeah.
They do an elaborate French toast staircase. They have all these. It's over the top, and sometimes it's too much because
Hmm.
they give you the real fresh fruit and the flavors, and they combine honey, and it's not just they don't even have syrup, maple syrup. Like they'll get it if you ask for it, but they usually have these French toast delicacies prepared in such a way that you want to try the chef's choices. And that's an excellent spot. And like I said, if you ever decide to go, just let me know in advance. I had a plug, but my guy might not be there anymore. But it's
Oh
always a
no.
wait. Yeah, it's always a wait. My favorite breakfast is basic, to be honest. I like, and I don't eat it as often as I used to, but I like to get either French toast or pancakes, scrambled
Hmm.
eggs, the hash browns, or the hash browns with the extras with the onions and everything in it,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and then that thick sliced bacon, right?
Hmm.
But I don't, we do turkey bacon now, but I like the thick sliced bacon, and then I'll do if I get the slam, I'll get the bacon and the turkey sausage, So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So we go to a place now called the Golden Bear, and that's called a Papa Bear. Yeah, it comes with the
All right.
pancakes, the eggs, the bacon, and the sausage all in one little gathering. You can
Yes.
add hash browns.
Now, I've never been a bacon person. I mean, I'll eat it, but it's not, like I have a friend, Erica, who is now vegan, but she still goes crazy for, bacon, 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 bacon.
Right.
But my mom was a big bacon and eggs person, and she would eat bacon and eggs any time of day. It wasn't just a breakfast food. And when my dad was working, and after my dad died, we would have, eggs for dinner, eggs for, middle of the night, whatever. So I
Yeah.
do have an appreciation for that. But man, I got to tell you, that place just makes me salivate just looking at the pictures. You can follow them on Instagram, by the way.
Yep.
But it is, whew, that is some good
And if
stuff.
I'm not mistaken, it is black owned,
Hmm.
which helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And
real quick,
Med,
I just want to shout out to Randall Andrews, who said Cracker Barrel pancakes and the racist pancakes that are delicious, by the way.
Hey, give me some of that cracker casserole any day. I didn't want to say that, but that cracker casserole,
oh my God, that is hilarious.
Like
The
that's in Cracker
Cracker
Barrel.
Castle.
boy,
Yeah,
you walk in there
but
like,
boy, it depends on your
okay,
location for sure.
That is funny,
but that
After
funny.
the
breakfast,
lawsuit, though, they got it together.
yeah.
Yeah. But anything with a porch and a rocking chair and good
In the
old
South,
days, anything nostalgia, the good old
Yeah.
days, it's not really geared for us.
it's not geared
But
for us, but that hey, look, we know
woo,
what we want from there. We know what we
they can
want to
cook.
want.
They know how to get to us.
They
Yep.
Yep.
can cook.
Yep. The Cracker Casserole and the racist pancakes. Okay.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Yolanda, do we have other people who are responding this evening? Okay, here we go. Lynn Powell, Monday through Friday, I eat cheese, grits, and bacon. Oh my gosh. Lynn on Facebook, how clogged are your arteries? I just want to know that.
Mhm.
Barbara Ferguson on YouTube says, I make myself breakfast, hash browns, bacon, and scrambled eggs. Ooh, yeah, that's good stuff. Grits, bacon, and eggs, simple. Hashtag bacon girl, says Candace Holmes on YouTube. Yeah, that sounds good. And Michelle Lynn Summerall says, I'm like a child. I love pancakes and bacon. I cook good pancakes and bacon, but I have changed up to gluten-free and turkey.
Couple things. So is
Mhm.
pancakes just for children all of a sudden? Since when is pancakes just for children?
No, not at all.
I didn't
And I'm
know
not
that
a,
it was a
The
kid's
adult
dish
breakfast that I'm
either.
missing out on. That's what I want
right.
to know.
Yeah.
I am not above going to Waffle House when I go south either. That waffle in there is fire. Not
That
to mention the hash browns smothered, covered, and they got all type of smothered, covered, and scrambled. It's a lot of, I don't know how they say it
and some of the
because,
best service you will never see.
hey, let me tell you.
You will
And
never
Waffle
see.
House
But
cooks are geniuses because they don't look
And
back.
they're
They don't write
lovely.
nothing down.
Mm-mm.
oh
Tony
no, they don't
Robbins
do
They go
nothing
from
said,
down.
here right to the grill.
Tony Robbins said Waffle House training is 2 classes short of being a pilot.
I am between two Waffle Houses, and I've only been there because of Ward White's father, who used to like a good breakfast sandwich from the Waffle House, and we would go give Mr. White these sandwiches. But I the first time I ever went to the Waffle House was like in Miami or something with the comedians, Damon. You know, we came off of a Sky
that's
show,
a spot.
and yeah.
Yep.
The
If you get a good clean one,
you know, or a waitress with teeth, you know, it's you know,
hey,
woo-wee.
but the waffles are dope.
Renita Bland said the red velvet pancakes. My spot in Charleston closed. Now I have to find another place that makes them. Okay, Renita, we're gonna find you. If someone has a suggestion for red velvet pancakes, and put it up here so that Renita can get some suggestions. Kimberly Jackson on Facebook, homemade. Oh, I missed that. Homemade salmon croquettes and rice made by either my mom, my uncle, or myself. Theirs is better, but I had to learn the recipe, and it's not bad at all. I believe that. My mom used to make
salmon croquette.
Yeah,
a good salmon croquette can get you where you need to be.
My mom wasn't a great cook, but she didn't claim to be, but she could make some good salmon croquettes, man.
Yeah.
Dad's Girl Clothing on YouTube says cereal all day. Frosted Flakes. Why? Because they're great.
I haven't had cereal in years, unfortunately. Once I found out the lactose was a problem, and I've even tried it with the other milk alternatives. I just stopped eating cereal.
Yeah, I did almond milk, and yeah, no, it's pretty good. I got turned on to Raisin Bran Crunch, which is there's nothing healthy about Raisin Bran Crunch. That thing tastes amazing. I'm like, this is not healthy at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. You find out how much sugar is in breakfast cereal.
How much sugar in it as Frosted Flakes does.
Yeah,
Raisin Bran Crunch, but delicious, and it makes you feel better because the box got raisins and bran on it.
Exactly. Just like they got the heart-shaped Cheerios, but come on now, if they honey nut, if they honey nut, you know better.
CM Williams on Facebook said most of the time it's oatmeal because it's healthier. Make it myself, purchase from the health food store and some markets, but I love pancakes and waffles, which I make from scratch. All right.
CM.
Okay.
Whenever I hear healthy oatmeal, that means they have the real oats and they have nuts and all sort of stuff, and they're just the crunchy oatmeal right there because they have all the nutrients in there.
But I am skeptical of oatmeal. Have you guys come across the ad on Instagram? Well, not Instagram, but on the internet. And it's like, if you eat oatmeals every day, hit this and find out what's wrong. And I'm like, now you're gonna mess.
It's clickbait. Half of those
all
things.
It is. Yeah.
Instead
of saying good for you.
Everything is killing us. So just pick what you like.
Look,
and eat it in moderation.
I live with a woman that can find anything wrong with any food. Okay, we've gotten rid of so much food because of an article she read. She's a nurse, of course, so she's like, "That's gonna kill you."
There you go.
Yeah, that's gonna kill you. So she bought me some gum that didn't have certain. I was like, this ain't it, babe. I can't do that. Let me go ahead and die. Come on, give me the.
It's not like he's swallowing the gum. Hopefully,
right. I'm like, this ain't it.
No, I promise I'll be good. Just bring back the unhealthy stuff. Absolutely. Evelyn Dawkins on YouTube. Bacon in the air fryer, hash browns or cheese grits, no eggs. Homemade. No eggs.
I can see it.
I can see it. The eggs are always egg whites, egg with yolk, how do you make your eggs healthier? The vegan egg, terrible. I can't do it. Like I've tried that. I'm like, nope.
That's a crime against humanity. Vegan eggs. It just doesn't make any sense.
Eggs in the box, Yeah, so I'm good on that.
I don't, I do try to use the egg beaters or something like that. Maria Majors on YouTube says I eat hot cereal, oatmeal, or cream of wheat. Don't see many people that eat cream of wheat much anymore.
Oh God, I'll never in my life eat cream of wheat. That's why I don't eat any hot cereal, because my babysitter used to make this lumpy ass cream of wheat.
Oh, yeah.
And they would force you to eat it. And then when she would stir everybody's up, her name was Miss Jackson. She was an old lady. She had no teeth. And she'd stir your bowl up and she'd get some on her thumb. And then she'd go to the next bowl. I've been traumatized. I might have been 2, and I remember this.
Miss Jackson. Scarred for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
There's this place. I lived in Houston for like 11 months, and there was this place called Breakfast at Barnaby's.
Breakfast Club. Oh,
The Breakfast at Barnaby. No, there's Breakfast Club. And I've been there. They're good. They're good. They're good.
And crowded.
Right, but there's a place called Breakfast at Barnaby's.
Barnaby's. Okay.
It looks like a house. You know what I'm saying? And it's real small, but they have like the green eggs and ham type of stuff going on. Everything's fresh. You see the orange juice being made in this big old machine they have, but it's always working. You see the orange juice getting pumped through, and it had some of the best breakfast. That's where I got turned on to chicken apple sausages. I was like, I found it, and it just became my spot. Became my spot. I was going every other Sunday. I was at Breakfast at Barnaby's. Like you can write your name on the list. Yeah, it's in Houston. Really, really, really good. Really good.
Okay, I haven't had a great Houston run in a very long time. Breakfast at Barnaby's. I'm writing it down.
Barnaby's. Yep, I'll send it to you.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Before you go though, make sure you check in with Jay Prince.
Okay.
The mob ties might have that spot on lock, so be careful.
Okay. Well, you know what? My girl Stephanie Williams will go and check it out for me. I'm sure.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Steph's in Houston now.
Yeah. She's been there, and she's recovering from shoulder surgery and all that kind of stuff. So she's had a difficult adjustment, but she's hanging in there, and hopefully
I'll check on her. She's our Tom Joyner family, just so y'all know.
Absolutely. And one of the greatest laughs in the history of the world, and a great hugger too, as the men will attest. Okay, so that is our question of the day. Thank you all so much for participating. It's made me hungry, and I'm ready to make some kind of run. I forgot to mention, I love the original Pancake House, and they have the French pancakes, and just delicious.
And they have that bacon I'm talking about.
That bacon. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. That's absolutely right. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will revisit this, I promise. And I love those. All right. So let's move to trending. And Damon, first of all, you got comedy dates coming up?
Oh, yes. This weekend at Riddles, my last weekend home for about 8 weeks, people. So if you're in the Chi, you want to laugh with me, I'm about to be gone. So come on through. But more importantly, I'm going to the Cleveland Improv the following weekend. And I really want to pop that city off. You know, it's a nice club. And when I was there with D-Ray, we did 9 shows. I just want to do 6. Let's pop up them 6 shows. And following that, Chuckles in Memphis.
And Chuckles. Okay. Now, how does that
down here in Atlanta?
I was there a couple months ago, and I'll be back to Atlanta late April.
Got you.
Yeah,
oh, cool.
at the new Uptown. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Uptown Comedy Corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 6 at the Cleveland Improv. How does that work? Is that 2, 2, 2?
Yeah. No, it's Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
4 day. Got it.
Yeah. Let's get it.
Okay, let's make it happen, you guys, and especially for all our Cleveland folks. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Ken Willie and Arsenio to do me some promo. They're Clevelanders. Yeah,
that's right. That's absolutely right. So let's talk about what we were talking about before, Damon, and Matt. I want to get your take on this. We did a story about a Black HVAC technician who his white customer called the police on him. And we were talking about how, people in this area of business, the treatment that they get from white customers. And I remember, and Damon was talking about this, and Damon, I want you to get back to it and get Med into the conversation. I remember at my folks' house in Chicago, and I was having the heating, and it was the furnace. It was Christmas time, and so having the furnace checked out, and the man, came in and did all his due diligence, and I asked him if he wanted a soda or something warm to drink or something. He goes, "What?" I said, "Would you like something to drink?" He said, "You know what? I ain't never been nowhere where they have offered me something to drink." And I thought,
wow.
And he said, "Well, I have a lot of white clients," and he said, "They barely speak to me, let alone offer me anything to drink." And I just thought, this is just the worst. I can't imagine that kind of treatment. But, he said, but it's a good job. And, it's not the worst thing. People don't talk to you if they just let you get about and do your work.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side could be a talker, or somebody stand over your shoulder. What are you doing now? What's that?
Right.
What's this here? What do you think that was? Well, I think it's this. You should look, ma'am, if you know how to do this.
Damon, would you prefer being talked to or not talked to at all?
I'll take the silence. Hey, lady. And put that thing away. You know, you shouldn't be. You might want to get your bra while you're talking, ma'am.
Or the old man that knows how to fix everything but just need to call you because his wife made him. You know,
exactly.
I would have done here in that position. I would have done this.
That guy.
You know the guy that's down the street that he got sir.
Yeah, I got a neighbor. When I have somebody working, especially like outside, if he sees it, he comes over and like gets involved. I'm like, dude, they got it. You know, they got it. But my point I was in the middle of making was not just about people who are in that industry, but black men in general. We walk around with it's a burden because black men and crime are so closely associated that you want to make people at ease, and you feel like you have to represent or even go the extra mile to present yourself as non-threatening or not an issue in everyday circumstances. Like on the elevator, you know, if you're in the elevator and somebody gets on, you want to make small talk so they feel at ease when you shouldn't be concerned about that. But that's just it's really a burden we carry.
Like the progressive guy, you know, you know, you don't want to seem like the old person, but sometimes you feel because they see you and their eyes get as big as teacups, and they're like,
yeah,
I don't want anything you got, you know.
Especially like if I'm in a parking garage, you know, and it's a lady, you know, by herself, and I get on, you know, I try to stay my distance and you know, say how's the weather, or you know, just so she knows, you know, I'm not ready to rob you or rape you or nothing like that. And it's unfortunate we do have members of our society that are committing crime in our race, but you know, the majority of average black men are hardworking, law-abiding, family providing, involved with their kids, citizens, and you know, you have to try to represent. Even when it comes to tipping, I tip so that you know they don't think black people don't tip. You know, you got to. It's a shame we have to represent all the time. It's kind of a burden.
You tipping on behalf of the culture. That's
exactly.
And this for the next culture.
Yeah, for the next uncultured swine that decides not to tip you after this, or gives you $2. You know.
Right. But I'm really kind of have to have that you know, your service really upped in order to get.
I'm the same way as you know. I overtip just because you know I was a server for like 15 years, so I know exactly how that felt. But the funny thing about what Damon was saying was I actually get a kick out of the surprise I see in people's face when I start talking to them, because I'm the big black guy with a hoodie on that walks into a space with you, and I turn to you, I'm like, how you feeling? Or how you doing? Or you know, anything like that. Just
how's it going?
Yeah, you know, and I just take a little of the bass out of my voice, and I, you know, bring it up a little, one octave, and
that's exactly my point.
No, but the thing is, it's crazy. You see the stress come off them. It literally. I was walking into a donut shop where it was my best friend and his girl happened to be white. So it was two black guys and a white girl. And we parked, and it was late at night. It was like 10:30. They were about to close at 11. And it was three young white girls in there working. And we were walking in. Me and my friend both had hoodies, black guys, you could tell. I'm looking in there before we even get in, and I nudge his girlfriend. I'm like, watch what happens when we walk in. They look terrified right now. You know what I'm saying? Right. We walk in, and we, you know, take the hoodie off. Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, them donuts look great. You know, blah, 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 blah. You just saw their whole expression change from fear to, all right, y'all ain't the bad ones. All right, cool. You know, it's a crazy, it's so crazy to see it. And I see it all the time when I introduce myself or I speak to somebody, that as a black man, it is that burden. We do have that on us. We have that stigma on us that wherever we go, I don't care how tall you are, big you are, how black you are, dark, light, whatever, there's always going to be an inherent fear if you're in a situation where you're with somebody in a, you know, one-on-one situation, you know, buy your car, clutch your purse, all that kind of stuff. You're going to get that. So it's unfair, of course.
I would have sent the white girl in first, though, at that donut shop. I wouldn't have had to break the ice. I'd be like, you go in there first. Let them know we coming.
Let them know. Brothers on their way.
Matter of fact, I'm going to text you my order. You go ahead, because it's almost closing time.
Right behind you.
So I'm coming out of the Dollar Tree the other day. The Dollar Tree, getting in my car, which is not a bad little ride. And all of a sudden I heard the click click of the car next to me. The woman sitting in the passenger side. And I looked, and she looked at me, and I waved, and she was kind of taken aback, and I was like, you got
Really,
nothing.
lady?
Trust me,
Right.
you have a lovely Honda Civic, but I don't have. You have got. I went to the Dollar Tree just like your person did.
Right.
Looking for some tape and stuff, but you don't have to be where. I've never had that happen before.
Plus, you see what I'm sitting in. Go on with that bull.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sybil
I've
riding big body, and she worried about it.
That's always interesting when that happens. I'm just like, I just not like I'm about to.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Right.
interesting. But you know what? I do want to turn it into this kind of situation as well. When I heard there's a story about this young black entrepreneur who had this business, and he said, and he felt ashamed about it. He never put his image on anything, and it was like a Christian. It was like a Christian faith-based company, and he's like the crazy thing was that most of my customers were evangelicals, the white Christians, and the white Christians are usually the most racist. You know what I'm saying? So, so he was like, I didn't put my face on anything. I didn't put any, you didn't know it was owned by a black person. Never knew. And he's like, I felt a certain kind of way about it, but business was booming. And so I just went along with it until the investors started coming. People wanted to invest in this company and put big money into his company. He goes, when I went to the face-to-face meeting, they looked at me like, oh,
wow.
I've been emailing for months. We've been going back and forth, emailing for months. And all of a sudden I get to the meeting, they see a black man, pull the offer off the table. He's like, people would call in to ask questions. He'd answer. They say, you sound like a black guy. He goes, I am. Oh, well, I don't need to do business with you then. It was like, it was that blatant when it came to business. And so this is something that we deal with, that we have to deal with. That there is that stigma when it comes to us, when it comes to business and anything. They just don't believe we know how to work.
And it's unfortunate that we can't have that same discriminatory attitude because we don't have black alternatives to some of our enterprises. So we need to get more of our businesses up and support each other a little better, and maybe that'll change.
And when I was a kid, when I was growing up, it was always about buying my parents were buying their first house, and it was black people moving into still a predominantly white area, not anymore, but this was the time where a lot of black people would get a white person to make the purchase for them, right? Because nobody wanted, and I remember when we moved into this house and we still had neighbors, white neighbors, and they were like, throwing, matches at me and stuff like that. And my parents would have to call the police, and the police would be listening to the white people who were the parents of the kids that were doing wrong, as opposed to the black family that was just being, and it just boggles the mind that even today, Med, we're talking about a young black man and having to deal with that kind of racism in business.
And those were some lame racists that were throwing matches at you, because even if it was lit, what's it gonna do? Dion, when he came up in the south suburbs, they used to throw batteries at him. Right. So you got off easy. He like D-cell batteries.
These were not the brightest lights in the bulb, in the lamp. These were not the brightest bulbs, but they would do. And my dad's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Just watching the fire go out."
Right.
And as a fireman's kid, he's like, I knew that it wasn't going to go anywhere. Just kind of watching it. It's like
dumb.
My dad was like, "Those are some ignorant motherfuckers." All right, so check this out. Check this out, guys. A passenger has been arrested after trying to open the door during a flight and then tried to attack the flight attendant. The man was charged in federal court after he tried to unlock the emergency exit and attempted to stab a flight attendant with a broken spoon. He took the spoon into the bathroom. I guess he was going to try to break it and use it as a weapon. Yeah.
He was trying to
Yeah.
shake her with a spoon.
Yeah. With
Okay,
a spoon, with a broken spoon,
Go
right?
ahead.
And so, and he apparently got a couple of good nicks off on her. But the passenger, identified as Francisco Severo Torres of Massachusetts, was arrested after. And it wasn't the flight attendant. It wasn't a captain having to come out and, so I'm going to turn this plane around. It was the passengers who attacked him, and they were able to land safely at Logan Airport in Boston. He is charged with 1 count of interference and attempted interference with flight crew members and attendants using a dangerous weapon. This carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. He has a history of mental health issues, but they said about 45 minutes out from Boston, an alarm in the cockpit warned that a side door between the first class and coach sections had been disarmed. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, sir, we can see it. He goes, no, you can't. Where's the video? And she said,
he's like, Homeland Security should be here right now. Where are they?
Right.
And, he was. So it was weird because if you saw the video, there was a guy that was sitting there just like letting him rant and rave. There was a black man who said, okay, when he started to step out into the aisle, there was a black man who said, that's enough, and stood up. And I don't know if he was an air marshal or what, but he came he stood up for it. And I know if somebody do something crazy and they trying to bring the plane down, I'm jumping in it. But
right.
I just heard though in this incident that the doors cannot be disabled or opened in flight. So I don't know if that's how true that is, but
I think that's kind of what they tell us. But I like the idea of them saying that, and if they don't do that, they should.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw one of these security doors. I'm like, is that like a 3-prong? Like, yeah, I'm like, that's a lot to ask the passengers to help with that.
Right.
They're like, yeah, so you have to push it up, pull to the side, bring out. I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah,
you need to help. But also, I got to say, this is on the flight attendants because when they ask the question, are you willing? We have to go into depth now. We have to go ask deeper, hard-hitting questions. You know what I'm saying? How's your mental well-being? You know what I'm saying? Are you on any drugs right now? That's what we need to start asking with the people that are standing or that are sitting by the emergency.
That we're in, economy class, first class there, sort of, by having a little bit more leg room.
Exactly. That's poor man's first class.
Right. Exactly. A lot of things I didn't want to talk about today, and we didn't get a chance to. I do want to move to entertainment, and this is a shout out to Dwayne Wade again. His daughter Zaya made her runway debut at a Paris Fashion Week show, and Papa Dwayne shed a tear. Our Chicago homie, the 15-year-old Zaya hit the catwalk in a Paris Week fashion show, looked great, wearing a jacket, a skirt, and brown high-heeled shoes. The Wades, Gabrielle, along with Dwayne, had a front row seat and checked out the Instagram video. You can see it there of her, and that was put out there by her stylist. And he said on his social media he was proud of it, while adding, I'm not crying, you're crying. And Zaya obviously has made the transition and announced the transition, as well as her name and gender change as of just about a month or so ago, if less than that.
I just saw a commercial. I think it's I don't know. It's not. I think it's Puma. I can't remember what it was a shoe commercial that she was in. Because at first I didn't, it just she kind of flashed by, and I'm like, oh, that was Zaya. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So she's been doing her thing lately.
Yeah,
and it's excellent for him to be a support, or them to be supportive parents. But I feel like they're kind of propping Zaya up as the face of this cause, and I don't know what that's going to do for a teen that's already going through a transitional state to be, used as like a spokesperson for the movement. And where are his other children? You never see him talking about his other kids. I'm kind of concerned about how it's almost exploitive. I understand that you support your child's stance on transitioning and being identified by the terms and pronouns that you believe in and dress the way you want to. And of course you should love and support your kids. But I just think that they're pushing it a little hard as far as the individuals is concerned, that kid is going to have to deal with that. Because if you're going through something like that, you might want to do it privately, but now you're being, pranced on a runway, and it's kind of tricky. I hope everything turns out.
I think
psychologically well.
I think I was feeling like that when she was younger. Because how old is she now, Sybil?
She's 15.
She's 15.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When all this kind of started, she was like 10, 11. And I'm just like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't need to be putting this. I'm not saying putting it, but we don't need to be putting all this on her. You know, let her grow
That's
up.
my point. The individual, not the cause, not the lifestyle, not the person. I'm talking about the spotlight that's being thrust upon the transition. So hopefully, you know, because Gabrielle is so passionate and she's so,
Right.
you know, aggressively going after the subject. But you got to think about how this is affecting this individual.
And I hope that they're getting help, and that the family may be
Right.
in therapy. I don't know, but it sounds like a California thing too, that they would be getting some therapy as a family in order for everyone to have their say. Because you're right, he has 2 boys, and now they have 2 girls, and Dwayne and Gabrielle have a little girl.
That's right. I was wait a minute, no, she's a girl now. And then you're like, no, not that one. I'm like, yeah, he does have another boy. My bad.
Yeah, remember the break, baby.
Yeah,
but
the boy.
Yeah,
you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, of course, he had 2 sons with his wife
in Africa,
right?
Playing basketball right now.
Exactly.
He's supporting them in that.
Yeah. So
of all the things they had in common, I'm sure Magic and Dwayne never thought this would be that.
At all.
That's
you don't
a
see that
conversation. No.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and who brings it up? Oh my. Okay, so now at Damon's bar. Yes, at Riddles. Yes. Come on, fellas, let's talk. We're going to close this out with Yogi's Jewel. Today is negative thinking and speaking will certainly yield negative results. Think and speak positively. Absolutely is right.
Yeah.
You guys, I always look forward to this day with you. I enjoy the conversation, and it always goes in a direction I'm not fully expecting, but I love the fact that we have these open conversations, and I really appreciate your time and your engagement. So thanks so much, and we will see you all again soon. And I say aloha.
All right. See y'all.